Now we've moved back to St Peter St Paul's Church, which is built exactly over the foundations of the old church. Now we shall begin by talking about the northwest tower. It has 110 feet brooch spire. And it was described by Pesner, the historian, as a finger pointing to heaven, and I love that. I have moved slightly and we're going to now look at the clock. Which was added in 1897 to commemorate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. Stopped at 6 o'clock. If we look above, we can just make out a pigeon. The belfry window. So now as we follow the fence, we pass two yews of considerable age. Now this yew here is over 5 metres in girth, making it either side of 500 years old. So we carry on, but a little further we have a yew which is over 6 metres in girth, and at first I missed it completely. Now I can tell you that this is actually the biggest yew tree in Essex that I've measured so far, making it about, well, either side of 750 years perhaps. You can just make out the spire. And just looking at this headstone, 1717. So now we continue along the fence line. And we now face the south aisle and south porch. And you can see quite a bit of damage on this side. Never quite understood why they've let it go so far, why it's not sort of patched up many decades back. Lightning strike. Now in January 1960 the spire was struck by a freak lightning storm requiring the top 12 feet to be replaced in Portland stone. This plane has been buzzing around all morning, it's like a fly. Now in the same year a brand new gilded weathercock was added But it didn't end there, for decades later a low-flying Chinook helicopter would clip the weathercock, and as you can still see, it's not straight. Now, by 1990, the running costs and condition of St Peter's was so bad that it was closed and made redundant. Now, not through want of trying, a group of organisations tried their best to find a solution to save St Peter's Church, including the Diocese of Chelmsford, Historic Buildings and Places, North Essex Heritage, the Victorian Society and English Heritage. Now we shall continue our walk along the perimeter fence, and we shall pass under another yew. You can see this is a younger yew because of its colour of it. Now I measured this, it's just around 3 metres. So this one, I'm guessing, would be from the Georgian period. But still impressive. Another yew in here. We disregard this one. This is, I believe it's an Irish yew, and they're not technically measured because they all come from the 1700s, I believe. But this yew here, not able to, it's unrecorded. I'd love to gain access to it, and I would send the results off to the ancient yew org. So we are now on the east view of St Peter's. Now when it was finished it could seat 700 peoples. It's hard to believe that within months this may well be knocked down. You can see how the ivy's climbed up the nave window there. Now we can see the weathercock's been clumped by the Chinook. You can see it clearly here. I'd love to have seen the paperwork for this back at the base. And I dare say the pilot got a nickname from it. You could just make out a bit of daylight coming through the coping stone there. Okay, if we move around a little. I believe the reason this outer fence is because parts of the spire etc. are falling down. Okay, this is a pretty good spot here. Okay, from this angle we can see all the main components of the church. So now we can see the chancel, the nave. This would be the north aisle. I just realised I can't see the south aisle. But anyway, you can see the spire, and you can see how the chimney's been held up. And if I'm not mistaken, Charles Gray Round, I'm pretty sure him and his wife, they funded the church heating system. So they're obviously very caring for the people here. Oh, and that annoying plane's back again. Okay, let's have a look and see if we can see closer to the window. I'm just wondering if some of this stonework, for example around the Victorian window, is actually from the original church. Right, anyway, we should move around to the north side. Okay, off we go. Try not to climb over too many headstones. Although it's never easy when you measure yew trees. Right, so looks like a pine tree. Got elderberry and blackberry. Okay. Somebody's lost something from a dog, I think. Okay, getting distracted. Right, so another Irish yew. And another one here. Okay. This is a pretty good spot. Now we have moved on the north side and we look upon the north aisle. Now the north aisle was built over the round family vault from the 18th century. And we can see various windows here that some have been boarded up. We can see a big hole in that one. Okay, we shall continue on the north side. So from this angle we can see the Irish yew, and if we look at the windows, got a different perspective, but I've just noticed bird's nest on the first window, and looks like a silver birch growing out of the nave wall, the north aisle wall. So again we can see the broken window, but if we look above, where the tracery starts, there's a bird's nest there, perhaps. And if we go up a little bit higher, we've got, looks like a silver birch growing out. Amazing, isn't it? How on earth did that get up there? I was trying to work out what these holes are in the boards on the windows, and I've got a feeling it might be for the bats. Okay, we shall walk more towards the west. And if you do come here, you can see clearly the way this land slopes off for where the castle and moats were. We can see how long the corrugated fencing's been up. It's rusting. It's over 30 years. Got a sign there, look, various signs. So if we follow it up, we can see we've got the gutter there. Well, this one does sadden me to actually get to the end of it, really. So, going to make our way round to the west side. Okay, what we'll do is we'll walk this direction, so I'll show you the sort of land, the way the terrain. Now, since doing my initial research, I did read that certain experts believe that the castle that was here, I'll say here, it was the actual castle itself was just over there, but this would be part of the defence, dates from the Romans. So that opens up a whole new world, and that the Normans simply modified it, and the Saxons would have used it, of course. You can see it slopes down here. And the photographs well, not the photograph, the sketch in the 1800s, there was a cottage in there. There's another fine view, isn't it? I was trying to work out that tree, if it's actually a cherry tree. Which would make it over 30 years old, I guess. Okay, going to pass under another yew tree. This will be the final one. This one, I believe, is probably Victorian period, not sure. Oh, hold on. Something always catches my eye. £17.97. So now we can see that the sunlight is basking the west side, as we've made a full circumference of the church. Now if we look at the window above the west doorway, The stained glass windows were added to the nave in the 1880s. Now, talking of the 1880s, Arthur E. May was the author. He was born in Birch and wrote about attending church here in the year 1880. And Arthur wrote, "The rector's family sat in the chancel, occupying the front pews of the south side. The squire of Birch and his family sat opposite on the north side. The farmers, tradesmen and other residents of the parish occupied the remaining pews at the front of the nave. The farm labourers sat at the back of the church and never entered till the bell had stopped ringing." Now in 2020, some 30 years later, a solution was found to convert this lovely old building into residential property, and planning permission was granted. But sadly the project has since fallen through and structural engineers deemed the renovation unsustainable. In July of this year, 2023, it was decided that St Peter's St Paul's Church would be demolished. The plans are still undecided of what to do, but most likely a memorial garden will stand here instead. Perhaps out there somewhere a special person with deep pockets and a vision could save this fine old church. It may not be too late. My last mention must surely go to the residents of Birch who have tirelessly campaigned to save this iconic building. The Spire is the fourth highest in Essex. Surely that must stand for something. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and thank you very much.